How you doing, Zoe?
I'm very well, thank you, Ryan. How are you?
I'm really excited for this, actually. I feel like a little kid at school.
Good.
So before I waffle on, why don't you tell all our amazing viewers who you are and obviously what you do?
Yeah, okay. So my name is Zoe Prizalak. I've got a life insurance brokerage. I specialise in everything life and health related, whether that's helping individuals or whether it's advising businesses on business protection, private medical insurance group schemes, so everything in life and health insurance. I also manage what is kind of the family portfolio of properties as well, commercial properties. And in a nutshell, that's kind of me and what I do on a day-to-day basis.
I like how you summarised that down a bit there, because I know there's a hell of a lot more, of which we're going to get under the skin of very shortly. But firstly, I think it's fair to say you meet with a lot of people in obviously your line of work. So some of the comments that we get from our viewers are, what makes people tick? So I want to take, you through that same journey, and we want to find out, what is it that makes you tick? Why do you do what you do? So without further ado, let's go straight into it. When you decided to go into business, what was the key factor that went, this is what I want to do and this is why I'm going to do it?
Well, I think I would say maybe in my 20s, I started to realise that actually, I think I want to do something my own. I want to build something that's my own. I don't want to work for somebody else for the rest of my life. And also a big part of it was also kind of the change of career that I had really as well. So I moved into life and health insurance in 2017. That's when I made the move. And it was kind of reflecting on life events, basically, that kind of resulted in that. So I actually lost my mum to cancer when I was 18. So she was diagnosed with cancer when I was 15. She was unwell, obviously, for 2.5 years. And she didn't have any cover in place at all. So no critical illness, no life insurance. She didn't work. It was a traditional, probably back then, dad went out and worked, and she kind of managed everything else. But what people don't realise is, it doesn't just affect the household if it's the income earner or main income earner that can't work. It does affect it as well, if either party is unwell. So what effectively happened was when mum was very unwell, dad stopped working to spend time with her and take care of her. All their savings were spent on alternative treatments when it was obvious that the chemo and the radiotherapy wasn't going to work. There were, things arriving in the post every day that she was ordering, that she was trying. They went on some trip to Mexico to a clinic there. So kind of spent savings. He then didn't really work for the last sort of year, 18 months that she was unwell. He was a self-employed mechanic. So when mum passed away, not only had dad lost kind of, they met when they were 16, they'd been married 28 years from being 18. So not only did he have to deal with that, but he'd got the financial aspect of it. He'd got a house, a mortgage, no savings. He hadn't been working in his business. Obviously, he'd lost clients, even had some tools stolen. I was going to university. So the financial pressure that he had was immense at a time when he really just needed to be able to grieve. So I obviously saw that and what happened. And then I myself was in a serious road traffic accident when I was 30. And I was kind of fit as a fiddle, thought I was invincible. And, it taught me that actually, things can happen. I had time off work, I had PTSD. I had to have 3 surgeries as a result. So it was those life experiences that made me think, these things are really, really important. Mum should have had something in place. I didn't have anything in place because, I didn't have kids, the rest of it. So, and I was fit and healthy, and nobody had really spoken to me about putting protection in place myself. So that was the reason why I thought, right, okay, I think this industry is really important. More people need to know about the cover that's out there and how important it is. I don't want people to be in the position that my family have been in. So I decided to sort of take that plunge, went kind of self-employed, under a business, did some training, and then sort of 18 months later kind of set up, 2 years
Oh,
later
yeah.
set up on my own. So that's kind of my, why and why I kind of do what I do.
You've literally just dropped a massive bombshell of information there. I mean, just quickly, how did it make you feel? Age 15?
Yeah.
15-year-old, and you were told that your mum got cancer.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Well, obviously it's devastating. But to be honest, the way I dealt with it is I just tried to shut it out and forget about it. I think now I would have dealt with it very differently as somebody that is older, but at the time I just wanted to not think about it and forget about it. I didn't
How
like
so?
talking about it. Well, I didn't even like talking about it with mum. Probably get a little bit upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, that's the way I kind of dealt with it. It was a case of just trying to forget about it, after she'd passed away. I think when she passed away, I'd just turned 18. I was doing my final year A-levels, and then I went off to uni. So it was just, let's just crack on. Let's kind of forget about it. So that's actually the way I kind of dealt with it at that age. But yeah, it's tough, but you just have to crack on.
You're very, very courageous. I mean, and I can feel it now. You want to quickly get past it, right? And I want to say this, and this is more for viewers, obviously. This is the reason it is important to get the right level of cover, because life throws bricks at us, the things that we can't control. And if I've learned anything from you, Zoe, not just feeling your resilience and your mentality and your mindset, but you're always grounded in that. Do not take for granted life. Get yourself covered, get yourself insured, because you don't know what's going to happen.
No, you don't.
And the comfort I get from you, Zoe, is that, well, actually, although you are very understanding in that you can't control what life throws at you, what you can control is if you get some protection in place, it allows you to keep your mind focused where you need to be with your family.
Yeah.
Now, age of 15, that is, for anybody, that is a tough decision. And we can see how much it means, to you.
Yeah.
At the age of 18, just as a young woman, you're about to go into your thriving, your sort of like drinking era, the kind of going out and being with the girls. That was a devastating time for you there. Was you prepared for that moment?
I mean, nothing can really prepare you for it. What is worse, somebody suddenly becoming terminally ill and only having a few months, or, spending years and kind of knowing, what may be inevitable. I mean, nothing can prepare you for it. And I mean, one thing I'll say is, obviously things get easier, as in, as time passes, they get a bit easier. But as you've seen with my reaction, you never fully get over losing a parent, a brother, sister, a child. It's something that, does stay with you. What I would say on, the protection front that you've just mentioned is, we never know what is going to happen. We just don't. We don't know what's going to happen. But, what we can just try and do is say, look, let's just try and put something in place so there is some protection for certain eventualities. And that's obviously, why I do what I do. Obviously, I then went off to university. And yeah, it was tough, but, I do what I always do, which is just, let's crack on and let's throw myself into whatever I'm doing and focus. And that's basically what I did.
It's easy for you to say because you've done it. Our listeners don't know, so we're gonna unpick a little of that. So that was a tough experience. What was life like before that? Before you knew about mum and things like that. What was life like as a child?
As a child, I had a really good upbringing. It was a religious upbringing, actually, because my family are Jehovah's Witnesses. The majority of my family are Jehovah's Witnesses, so I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. I actually left the church, if you like, when I was about kind of 15. But yeah, I'd been brought up in that way. Actually, a lot of very good things came from it. I got a really strong family unit, probably kept me more on the straight and narrow than I could have gone because of that.
And what would that be then? Is that because of the actual culture of the religion, or what was it that would have kept you on the straight and narrow?
So, I think a number of different things. I mean, we were a really close family unit. We'd eat dinner together every day. We would go to, the kind of meetings, church meetings, if you like, 3 times a week. So we were doing things like that together. And we had a really sort of strong family unit. Obviously, there were lots of positive things that were instilled in me. It gave me kind of confidence as well. I was kind of answering and speaking from a young age, and up on stage. So, for me, there were lots and lots of positives that definitely did come from it. And, I do think we did have a really good, positive, strong family unit. And I think, them having that religion was, was party to that, basically.
Would you say it's the religion that did that, or was it something in particular? Because you've mentioned a really good point in terms of the confidence. We're in 2025 right now, and confidence in young adults, in young teenagers, is a huge problem. Was it something in particular part of the religion that was able to unlock that confidence, or are you saying it just was the religion? What was it?
It's probably a number of different things. I think I probably always naturally was a relatively confident child. I mean, I think, some children are louder, so I've always spoken quite a lot. So yes, but I do think it had an impact. I mean, I did get bullied when I was at school, not badly bullied, but again, because I just wouldn't have it, but I was a Jehovah's Witness. I was the cleverest girl in the class, so
Was you
there was
bullied
a bit of
because
bullying.
she was a Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah.
How times have changed.
Yeah.
It's mad that.
Yeah. But I just,
You chucked it off.
Yeah, I just chucked it off. Yeah. I think the level of bullying back then is probably not as serious as well as it can be nowadays, unfortunately, for kids. But yeah, there was some bullying, but I just, just kind of...
Water for ducks back.
Water for ducks back, just kind of cracked on and whatever.
You have got a strong mindset, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I try to do. It's a strange one because I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
I do feel emotions, whether it's about me or somebody else. So I can cry quite a bit. But I am a strong person.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that is just because, it's just what I've done or had to do, mum. I always felt kind of growing up, I'd kind of got to then, look after everybody else, my brother, my dad. My grandfather was a really strong character as well in the family. So we lost my grandfather and then my mum 6 months later. And I think I felt a little bit like, as my grandfather was, dying when I was in hospital, I said to him, don't worry, I'm here and I'll make sure everybody's okay. So I don't know, I think I kind of took on that role and it was, we've just got to
So on that, are you the eldest sibling?
Yes.
So that paints the story now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Eldest sibling, mum's gone, grandfather's gone. And did you just assume the responsibility of then the head of the woman of the family? What happened there?
I wouldn't say sort of the head of, and obviously, I still went to university and kind of, obviously did my own thing, but I'm very much, I would say, kind of a problem solver. And probably I'm somebody that, people will come to, whether it's brother, whether it's dad, whether it's other people in the family, whether it's friends. And I like to help, and I don't like problems that we can't fix. We've got to fix them. There must be a way to fix them. So I don't know. I think it's a mixture of all different things, maybe partly of what my personality was, kind of what I went through. That's just kind of the person that I ended up kind of being. And I suppose I am.
It's strange because you can normally see when people are using their adaptive style to do certain things, it comes sort of natural for you to be a problem solver. It's very natural for you to be, I don't want to say a strong, independent woman, because I know that, you've got a fantastic partner and you're very much in a partnership, so to speak. But you are strong-minded, you're very strong-willed, but equally, you're a real person who does carry genuine emotion as well. I see very real, very human. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we've gone to uni.
Yeah.
What's happened. You've picked up the baton. You're sort of like, you're at home with dad. You've got your siblings and you're flocking your wings now at uni. What was uni like?
Oh, uni was brilliant. I had a great time.
Which one did you go to?
Nottingham. Yeah.
Shout out to Nottingham Uni.
Yeah, Nottingham Uni was great. I ended up doing a year abroad in Valencia. So in my second year, I could apply. to study abroad for a year, and I'd done, as part of my A-levels, I'd done French and Spanish, and Spanish was my fave. So, applied and then studied for a year law in Spanish. So I switched to law with European law. So that was in, show my age now, 2003 to 2004.
We're
Literally
still
just been
young.
back to Valencia. And I've just come back, haven't I? And that was lovely because I was there, you're talking about 20 years ago. So I was like, that was the apartment that I lived in. That was the university.
Reminiscing,
I went to.
everything.
This is where I walked. This is where we went out. Yeah. Back to the beach. So that was really, really nice to go back. So that was uni. So lived abroad for a year.
You studied law?
Yes.
What was the intention at 18-year-old woman? I'm packing my bags and I'm doing a law degree.
Yes.
What were you thinking?
I know. Yeah.
Powerhouse springs to mind, yeah.
Well, growing up, there's different films that you watch, and I had this idea that I wanted to be this, probably criminal barrister when I was younger. And
Prosecution or defence?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because as I got older, I was kind of thinking, what if I had to prosecute somebody that was innocent or defend somebody that was guilty? No, it is, that's what the job is. But yeah, I think I kind of decided maybe not, maybe that's not for me. So yeah, I went to uni, enjoyed it, got a good 2-1, which is what I needed to get. But I kind of decided that I'm not sure, actually, this is the career that I want to do. Solicitor, I'm not sure I really want to go into that corporate world. What can I do where, I can effectively be quickly paid based on, how I perform. So I ended up going into, kind of recruitment, headhunting, basically, within financial services. So that's what I ended up doing, moved to Leeds, obviously not too far from where I'm from, in South Yorkshire, and I had some friends there. I did that for a few years. So I had a good, obviously reasonable understanding of financial services before then. I kind of made the switch into life and health insurance, basically.
You've literally gone,
I know.
I'm up here, a game of life.
Yeah.
You have the choice, do you go family or do you be a lawyer?
I know, yeah.
You've got, I'm going to be the lawyer.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what did family life look like for you then? Because you've got a really, really, from a young age, tight-knit, very close, family-driven culture at home. Phenomenal. It's amazing. I think those values are misunderstood today. And I think I really want to hone in on why is it important of communication, because it's something that's completely forgotten about today. And you touched on a little bit about, well, actually, it was just normal. We just ate together.
Yeah.
We went to service together.
Yeah.
And that to me kind of summarised it up. Well, actually, you were just a family.
Yeah.
You were just so close. It must have been full of love.
Yeah.
And you've been able to be independent, like I said, talk on stage. So you built up some element of like leadership, some confidence. You had a big ball of energy, and you were able to go out and do what you needed to do. So you got to university. Where was the decision on, I'm going to push career over creating, your own little family? Was there a divide there, or was you like, no, I'm free, whatever happens, happens?
So sorry, repeat that again. What do you mean?
So the game of life?
Yeah.
Do you pick your family or do you pick career?
Yeah.
Now, stereotypically, when we was younger, obviously, there'd be a case of, I want my family, I want to meet a partner, settle down, and then I'll focus on whatever happens after.
Yeah.
Did you have a bit of a plan? Was there anything there? You left uni? Was it just whatever happens, happens?
It was a bit of kind of whatever happens, happens. I just wanted to obviously throw myself into something and get working. I would say that I have always probably put my family, as in, my dad and my brother, quite high up on the agenda. Probably more so than myself. Probably, I think sometimes when you lost a parent, you worry a lot more about the other parent.
Yeah.
My dad then had a second marriage, which was not very good, quite abusive. And my brother's quite poorly with his mental health as kind of a result of that. So, there's definitely, when you say career or family, I think there's been a bit of a balancing act. I mean, one reason why I didn't move away when I've had different opportunities to move away, because, I worked abroad, had opportunities to move to London. I think one of the reasons why I didn't do that was to stay close to sort of Dad and Stefan, and just kind of be there to sort of help in any way that I needed to kind of help and be close to them. But, you know, still obviously wanted to, you know, forge a career for myself, and obviously gone on to kind of set up on my own and things like that. So I think I've, you know, tried to balance the two. But yeah, I've always, you know, to me, family is really important. So
I get those kind of vibes, which I think really, when you look at what you do today, is very obvious. You know, you're very protective, and you're very thorough in the actual protection side of things, because you're excellent at explaining you need to protect against the unexpected. But on that note, we share something in common, don't we? Talk us through your journey on how your accident happened. Because yours was in a car accident, wasn't it?
yeah,
Whereas mine,
yeah,
I was on a push bike, less hard.
yeah.
So what happened there? How old were you roughly?
So 30, I think I was. Sort of 20, 30, yeah. So about sort of 30. And the car just, I was in the back of the car, and the driver lost control around a corner, and hit the tree and rolled down a banking. So yeah, it was a pretty serious accident. I mean, I was lucky as in, you know, no broken bones, because there were some more serious injuries, you know, within the car. But yeah, I mean, as a result of that, I actually ended up tearing the cartilage in my hips effectively. And I've had various, you know, operations from then. And as I said, I had PTSD. I mean, that was an interesting one because I'd had PTSD for a while before it got diagnosed. And yeah, those symptoms were quite interesting. You know, I was doing crazy things like, you know, leaving the house and needing to kind of switch, you know, all the sockets off and take, you know, I mean, it's crazy when you think about it now, take, you know, plugs out of the socket, and didn't like opening the mail because I kept thinking that, you know, something bad was going to happen. So that probably was ongoing for about a year. And let me think.
Just back to that mail. So what? I get the sockets.
Yeah.
What's the mail part?
Well, just, you know, sometimes wouldn't want to answer the phone. I wouldn't want to speak to people, or I wouldn't want to answer the phone if it was, well, I mean, sometimes you don't anyway if it's an unknown number, but you just had this feeling that something bad's going to happen all the time.
Really?
So, yeah, so I didn't like opening mail. Yeah, kind of wasn't going out as much. And I felt really quite, I would say, kind of disassociated, not kind of in the present, if you like. And obviously at the time I didn't know that's because, as usual, I just, you know, crack on as I do.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not talking about really serious or complex PTSD. We're talking about more kind of mild PTSD, but that was probably going on for, and obviously I would have been feeling anxious, which obviously I'd never had any form of, you know, anxiety before. But, you know, I was just kind of cracking on, going to work, you know, had, other than a couple of weeks after the car accident, and, you know, I didn't have any time off work, other than for kind of surgeries.
Yeah.
And then what it was, I went to a doctor's appointment about something else. And it was actually a sort of locum doctor that was, I was in the appointment with. And she said to me, "There's something not quite right with you," words to that effect.
Wow. Thanks.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I agree.
she wasn't far wrong. And she said, "You know, why are you on crutches?" And I said, "Oh, I've just had this surgery. I was in a car accident, blah, blah, blah." And she said, "I think you've got PTSD." She said, "And, you know, I'm a locum doctor. I think, you know, things happen for a reason. You know, you've come in and you need to get a, you know, another kind of appointment and get kind of a referral." So I did that, to have, you know, some treatment. So initially I was referred and had some treatment on the NHS, but it wasn't the right treatment. It was just kind of general CBT. So I ended up then having private treatment, more kind of like reprocessing treatment. And then that, you know, just, you know, when I had that it, within, you know, you're talking about a few months,
vanished.
Massive difference. And then, you know, kind of when it's crazy how the mind works. So yeah. So that was kind of the PTSD side of it. And then, you know, having 3 surgeries is not fun. Particularly when I used to be, you know, healthily obsessed with the gym, I would say. You know, we'll go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
You know, at the time when I was living in Leeds, I'd be walking kind of 20 minutes or so, you know, there to work and
Fit,
back.
healthy.
Really fit and healthy, really strong. Yeah, loved exercise, loved training.
And work at that time, before accident.
Yeah.
Are we still doing the...
Yeah, so this was kind of the recruitment headhunting firm in
Right,
financial
okay.
services.
So flourishing in the workplace.
Yeah.
Zero hesitations in life.
Yeah.
Happy go Larry.
Yeah.
Living
all gone.
life as it goes, and then
And then this
bang.
curveball comes, and you're like, where did that happen? Yeah. And actually, what happened? Another reason, thinking about it now, why I ended up moving into protection was after this protection. I always laugh because in the industry, like financial advice industry, we call life and health insurance protection. I'm like, I'm not talking about condoms. I don't sell condoms. It's life and health insurance, guys.
Just to clarify.
yeah. But anyway, I've lost my big kid chain of thought. Oh yeah. In terms of after the accident, obviously I had time off work, and I was going to have time off work for the different surgeries, and I thought, you know, I should have had this thing that I know about called income protection, and I knew about the product, but nobody had ever kind of spoken, you know, that sold the product had spoken to me about it. So I spoke to some financial advisors about putting it in place. Now, what I didn't understand at the time was, obviously, because I wasn't a financial advisor, was that with income protection, obviously you'll answer health questions and they will put exclusions on for anything pre-existing. So that could be a back problem, or it could be mental health, or, you know, whatever it may be. But what they tend to do is, if you would have more than a certain number of exclusions on your policy, they just won't give you cover whatsoever. So obviously, I had just been in an accident. I'd got hips, you know,
Full
I
of
had back, neck,
racked them all.
PTSD, you know, had all of these things. I was also awaiting surgery, and you can't get cover when you're awaiting something like that. Anyway, I think, how many financial advisors? 3 different financial advisors. They all applied for cover for me. I got declines for them all. Obviously, I was really upset, thinking, you know, I was fit as a fiddle. I've only just been in an accident, but, you know, I'm
Now you're
better. I'm
uninsurable.
getting better. And it was handled really badly. Whereas what should have been explained to me is, look, because of X, Y, Z, we can't get you this type. Actually, we could get you another type of underwritten cover. But at the moment, we can't get you a standard income protection policy. But in a few years, when X, Y, Z has changed and time has passed, then, you know, you'll be able to get cover. So I had quite a really bad experience as well. So that also made me think it's really important. And actually, we need to, you know, need to have some good empathetic people that, you know, are there to kind of do the right by the client, you know, instead of that kind of service and just trying to push through a sale, which, you know, that I couldn't get income protection at the time. No way.
Balmy, that, isn't it?
Balmy, yeah.
You are literally fit as a fiddle. You've just had a life experience that you couldn't have controlled, but you found yourself subject to, and yet you find yourself at literally the peak of your life, uninsurable.
Uninsurable, yeah. Yeah.
What do you say to yourself?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's...
What do you even think at that moment?
Well, it feels quite scary, because you just think...
I'm the fittest I can be, and I'm uninsurable.
Yeah, well, I wasn't the fittest at the time, but, you know, well...
Just before that,
actually, quite soon after the accident, I still was. But it's just really shocking, because you're young, you haven't had anything serious health-wise, you've just been in an accident, okay, you need fixing a little bit, but, you know, that's it. So, yeah, it's not nice to hear, and that's why, you know, when I'm dealing with clients, you know, I need to speak with them about health up front, because we need to know who would be the best insurer, who may not put an exclusion when somebody else would, who may be the best price-wise, quality, etc. You know, there's no point me taking somebody through an application and then you're getting a decline. So we do the health stuff up front and work, you know, have a conversation about it.
It'd be interesting to see what Gary Brecker would say about this.
Right, okay.
Because obviously he comes from that background, doesn't he?
Yeah,
It'd be
does.
really
interesting.
If the power of social media or the internet, whatever, I'd love to get that insight on why that is and what happened there. Yeah.
Well, so that's why I would kind of do that up front. But equally, I'm empathetic, and, you know, I know how it feels if somebody tells you that you can't have cover or you can't have a particular type of cover. I've been there, and I often use my example and my experience with clients and say, look, this was me.
How many people can do that? Not many. And another reason why you should pick way more.
Yeah.
So you've had quite a bit of a traumatic kind of life up to 30. Some great experience. Not that you'd wish that upon anybody, but nevertheless, here you are, and you have come out the other side absolutely thriving. How long after the accident before you went into full-time, I am going into full protection mode and not that kind?
So it was probably about 4 years after. And at this point, Dad had a pulmonary embolism and nearly passed away.
Bless you.
Multiple clots in both lungs that came out of nowhere. So he just had that scare, and he'd been feeling ill for a while and kind of, wasn't really sure what it was. So he was unwell. Still had the issues with his wife at the time. And my brother was living at Dad's, with his sort of mental health condition undiagnosed. So I'd kind of just fixed myself.
I love that. Just fixed myself.
Just fixed myself.
Got over my little
more or less. Although I ended up having some more surgery. But I, in the main. And then it was a case of, look, I need to kind of help find out what is going on with Dad. And
what's your head like at this point?
My head was all right at that point.
Why?
Well, obviously worried about Dad, but
you've just come out of PTSD.
Yeah.
An extremely traumatic experience. And in less than what seems to be a minute, you flicked the switch and gone into, again, family, everything. I've got to be there for my dad.
Yeah.
And you were absolutely fine.
Well, it was a case of, right, we just need to go and fix this now. So came, back this way, South Yorkshire way. And then it was a case of, first of all, let's find what is wrong with Dad, which managed to do, kept going back to the doctors, getting blood test results, researching, went back to the doctors, I think he has this. He laughed at me. Anyway, turned out he did. So it turned out he'd got a couple of conditions. So that was kind of that. And then, brother, we're now in a position where, we've got kind of a diagnosis for him, and, he's in a sort of better place than he was. So and then it was, this is the perfect time to change career and go self-employed.
Well, before we go there, let's just take let's wind it back a little.
Yeah.
Given what you've already been through.
Yeah.
I know you've built up resilience.
Yeah.
I know you've built up that rock hard mindset. Was there any point in your thought process that I might have to go through another repeat performance here? Or was you just straight laser? No.
What do you mean a repeat performance? Or?
Well, you've already lost one parent.
Yeah.
And you've now come back to mighty South Yorkshire.
Yeah.
And you know what you've got to do.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be there for the family, and everything that you've got going on. Did any of that go into your head at all? Or we just...
What, that I might lose Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course it did. That's why I thought we need to find out what's wrong with him and, what it is, how serious is it.
Have you ever reflected on that? From a young woman, not many people have gone through the traumatic experience of losing one and then potentially losing the other. It's quite incredible that you've had to, endure that, and yet you've still come out as strong. It's blown my mind, actually. I don't know if you ever have a chance to reflect on that.
I mean, how much time? I mean, how much do any of us sit and reflect on things? Sometimes I don't know. Maybe we should, reflect on things more generally.
It goes to show how strong-minded You really are. It's a lot to digest. And I know, obviously, with your brother as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it shows you're a perfect example of how strong, resilient we can be as humans if, the situation arises and you have to get through it. Because you could have crumbled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to know why. Wow, how didn't you crumble?
I don't know. I think it's self-talk. I think a lot of it is self-talk. I mean, I will just say, look, crack on, let's crack on with the task we've got in hand. But when you start worrying or, thinking, negative things, whatever that might be, I always just turn it around and say, look, it's never the worst case scenario. Very rarely is it the worst case scenario. So there's no point worrying about things that haven't happened or what might happen. Because if that doesn't happen, then you've just spent all this time really, really overly worrying about something for nothing, or it wasn't as bad. So stop that, and let's just focus on what we can actually do now. What can we do today? And what can we actually put in place to, achieve whatever we need to achieve, or, improve, or find out what's wrong, or whatever it is. So I think it's being able to have that positive self-talk where you can kind of talk yourself out of, otherwise what could be, like you say, more of a spiral. So yeah, I'd say it's that kind of mindset and just being able to have positive self-talk.
There's a lot to take from that. Affirmations.
Yeah.
Positive self-talk. What was your, you've got a tight family. What was the rest of the family like? And what was your sort of like, what was your tight circle? Did you have, a network of really good, strong, like-minded people around you? Or was it just you and what you did to yourself?
I've definitely, got obviously strong family unit in terms of, kind of dad, and some good friends. I can just be a bit of a lone ranger when it comes to things like that, though. I just like to get myself, because sometimes I don't like talking.
Where's that come from?
Because sometimes I don't like talking about things. It's like, I know what is going on. I've dealt with that in my mind. I know what I need to do. I don't want to talk about it with anyone. So I don't know. I'm just...
Do you go into a bit of a...
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of
nodding
focus.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, this is what we need to do and this is what we need to sort out. I just kind of go into that sort of mode. I don't really massively talk about it with anyone.
Just concentrate on doing the do.
Yeah, but if I did need to, then I would speak with someone. It's not that there aren't people that I could, or I'm embarrassed to speak about it. It's not that. It's just that's the way I deal with things. This is what it is. I've boxed it off in my mind with what I want to do. That's it. Let's just crack on.
That's incredible.
So that's the way I kind of deal with things.
Like, I speak to a lot of people, and it is fair to say that there are still people who will crumble at that, Zoe. From me to you, it's powerful how you've been able to condition your mindset. That's impressive. Because there's nothing worse than trauma at home.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's everything we do what we do for.
Yeah.
So to go through that and then still be bulletproof says a lot about you as a character. I think it's very inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not all as straightforward as that, and there's been times where, because of that and putting other people first, I've been bottom of the list. I haven't taken care of my health. I've not been going to the gym like I should. I've not been eating as well, put on weight, that kind of thing. And then you kind of say, right, okay, now let's sort this out. So yeah, it's not been all kind of completely
plain sailing.
Yeah. Things still would take, there are still times where it still has taken its toll because I have just put other things.
So is it fair to say you have sacrificed yourself?
Yeah, I put other things before myself. Yeah. And, obviously, I've got a great partner now, but, I was single for quite a while because it was just a case of, I've got all this going on that I need to help sort out. I've got businesses that, I'm trying to build and sort out. So, all that was kind of, pushed to sort of one side. You know, and obviously things are much better. Dad then went through a divorce. That was quite a stressful time.
Yeah.
You know, but that was kind of done sort of back end
Well,
of
let's
last
go
year.
into that period. I'm not going to delve into that topic because I want to focus on you. But that period, using the word protection quite a bit. We know what journey you're about to take on because obviously you're living and breathing it now. You got a fantastic business doing that, but you did it in different ways, didn't you? Not only did you protect as a last resort protection with insurance and things like that, you also protected from a wealth point of view, which a lot of people forget you can do today. Which, I mean, look, we do it in property, so we kind of don't take it for granted, but we do it kind of like without thinking now. But how did that journey start from that kind of moment? Because you just got another traumatic experience, and yet you would still be able to have that concrete mindset and then go, this is what we're doing, and he'd solve this. But at the same time, you had business, you had dad's situation going off, and you had the wealth stuff creating, didn't you?
Yeah. So what is it specifically you mean by the wealth stuff, just so I know where you're going with that?
This is obviously I know, but for the purpose of this, obviously everything that you've got,
Trust.
all
Yeah.
your trust,
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
everything that, because that's,
Yeah, well, that wasn't me though. That was grandma. So yeah. So yeah, in terms of kind of the family property business that I, you know, now kind of like manage, if you like, it was, you know, grandparents that kind of built that up, you know, and it was, you know, for their children and grandchildren effectively, and grandma, under her will, basically left the properties to pass into trust. You know, so properties were in the trust for, you know, as I said, sort of children and grandchildren. And what that did was help serve a purpose, certainly through, you know, dad's kind of divorce and things like that as well. So yeah, I mean, what I would say to people is it's really, really important to get, you know, advice, financial advice, you know, pension advice. I know it sounds quite a dry subject, but as soon as you've had some advice, then, you know, you can put a plan in place, life and health insurance. You know, you need a will. I don't think people understand how lengthy the process can be, especially if you don't have a will. Probate can be really lengthy anyway. And think about, particularly if you do have children, if you are, you know, putting your will in place, think about having a will trust instead of a standard will. So just to kind of explain what happens with that and the difference between the two, if you want me to do so.
yeah, fine.
So let's say there's me, you know, let's just say me and my husband, let's say, and, you know, we own, you know, our property and, you know, cash and investments, etc., etc., and we've got some children. So a standard will would say that if either of us pass away, everything goes to each other and then on to our kids. Yeah. So if, you know, he passes away, then I inherit everything, and the intention that then I would leave everything to the kids. But the problem with that is certain life events, you know, can happen that could change all of that. So let's say he passes away, I inherit, I meet somebody else, we get married. Straight away, those assets are diluted because I've been married to somebody else. We could get divorced in future. So again, you know, that could dilute some of those assets. I could pass away and he could inherit everything. He may have some kids of his own. He may choose to then disinherit my children, our children, you know, from my previous partner. I may go into care, and then those assets could be used to pay for care. There's lots of things that could happen. You know, if then it's kind of left to children, absolutely. Again, you could have marriages, you could have divorces, you could have a child that, you know, has a drinking problem, or, you know, any gambling problem, or any of those things. So what you can do instead is put in place what's called a will trust. So when you pass away, effectively a box is created, and everything that you own passes into that box. So in that scenario where I own a house with my partner, what we would do is we would change it so we own the house tenants in common. So we effectively own physically half of it each. And then if he passes away, his half passes into trust, so that's protected. I've still got a right to live there. And obviously any of his belongings and any, you know, bank account, anything in sole name effectively can pass into that trust. So yes, I'm in there as a beneficiary, and so are the kids, but it's got that protection around it against all of those things that we've just mentioned. Yeah. So that's kind of the way it works. So, these things are, important for people to kind of be aware of and just kind of think about. So,
Do you know what I find necessary on that? You've made extremely valid points, and you live, breathe this every day. But when people get together in a relationship, they form a bond and form a bit of a trust themselves, between themselves. And they always have this love and say, well, we'll never do it. And then very quickly palm off any kind of, I need a will or security or ring fence. It's always seen as like a negative defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like passive, isn't it? They say, what do you mean you're doing that? Like, what? Don't I mean anything? There is all those kind of like stigma around it, isn't there? But when in actual fact, when you say it like the way you've just said it, it makes every sense.
Yeah.
That you go, right, if we're looking to have a long-term future together, we need to protect.
Yeah.
So at what point would you say is a really good time for you to speak to people about this?
Well, I mean, at any point, isn't it? So,
Leaving school, leave uni?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, the younger you are when you take out life and health insurance, the cheaper it is, the less likely you are, to have, exclusions, et cetera, et cetera. I've just today 2 young clients that were referred to me, they're kind of in their mid-20s, they just bought their first house. But yet I have had clients, that are as young as, 18, at the end of the day, if you've got, even if you're renting, if you can't work, you've still got bills that you need to pay.
Yeah.
Obviously once you have a house, you've got extra commitments.
Pretty much as soon as you become an adult, isn't it?
If you have a partner, you don't want to leave them with all the debt. You want to make sure they're okay. You want to provide for kids. So yeah, certainly as soon as you have those responsibilities, you should have a conversation, but then you want an advisor that doesn't, just say, ta-da, and then, you don't speak with them ever again. I do annual reviews with clients because obviously things, maybe the next year, not much has changed, but, in 2 years or 3 years' time, things may change and then we may need to tweak things or add things.
Well, let's do that then. So we've just gone from, you going through that experience, obviously, Gran and everyone's just sorted out the trust and things like that. Obviously now you manage it and whatnot. But you're building something there. There must be some sort of rules around, obviously, what that happens in the future. Yeah. But then, most importantly, you've got now the business. Yeah. And you've pushed now into the business full time. Why do you feel that anybody and everybody should have protection?
I don't think people realise the impact of being unwell or not being able to work. I don't think business owners realise the impact on their business if actually suddenly somebody key in the business, whether it's them, a business partner, somebody that runs the operations or the day-to-day stuff, is suddenly not there because they're critically ill. A real high number of SMEs, fold within, the first 12 months of losing a key person. So, people don't realise. I always, if we're talking to people on a personal basis, I will say to them, the thing that most people worry about is like the big C, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what happens if you get cancer? Okay, I can't work. Okay, so you lose your income. What about your partner? What if they are needing to take time off work to take you to appointments? They need to spend time with you because actually, it may be terminal. They're not working. You could be losing their income. You've got young children. Who's looking after the kids then? With all that going on, have you got extra costs? You're having to travel to hospital appointments, pay for parking, you're paying for other supplements, maybe other treatments, maybe you have to buy a new wardrobe because you've lost weight. People don't realise this. On average, people with cancer, they can spend up to £700 extra a month. I mean, that's crazy. So where's that extra money coming from? Then if you pass away, do you want to leave, your partner with that debt? If you have children, what about them bringing up, what about the financial impact of losing a parent and losing that income? Potentially, they still need to go through, whether it's private school, whether it's university, whether it's getting married, buying the first house, all of that to think of as well. So
it's a lot to take into consideration.
To take into consideration.
Do you see people cancel their policies as times gets hard?
Not a huge amount. I mean, obviously, you will, you know, you will never have a business where nobody ever cancels a policy. I mean, sometimes they're cancelling a policy because we're putting a new policy in place and we need to change things. But for people to completely cancel all their cover, that is rare in terms of my clients, because what they would do is they'd pick up the phone to me. And if it is something like, you know, hard, it's because times are hard at the moment financially, then it's a case of, well, can we tweak the cover? Can we reduce the cover a bit? You know, can we strip it back a little bit? Can we, you know, just, you know, you still have some cover.
Knowing what you talk about and obviously how you've, you know, consulted with us and whatnot, it's a no-brainer to continue it. Like, don't.
Yeah.
Because, again,
100%.
as you've clearly demonstrated and I've demonstrated in my life, you don't know what's around the corner.
No.
And the older you get, the higher the risk.
Yeah.
So really, that's like...
Well, also, if you are somebody where money is that tight, what happens if you can't work?
Yeah.
You have no savings. You need that income protection policy, you know. So you're probably one of the individuals that needs it more than ever. So yeah, it's few and far between. At the end of the day, if people understand what the policy is for, then you know, they value it. The other thing is as well, people often don't realise, but there are sort of added benefits with the policies that are free. So there are things like video GP services, counselling services that your partner and children can use, you know, health MOTs. People actually don't realise this, but there are things that you can use your policies for now without being ill. So, you know, and obviously if clients know that, then they can also make use of the policies in that way. You know, I think with business owners, you know, they're generally quite happy for the business to sort of pay a premium, but there are lots of businesses that don't even know that this insurance exists. You know, it isn't a mandatory insurance like some insurances are that you have to have. But, you know, it certainly is an important one because, you know, the lifeblood of a business is normally the staff. And if you lose somebody integral, then, you know, what impact will that have on the profits and the running of the business? So, yeah, all important stuff.
It is. Okay, so, I mean, that's fair to say. It's ridiculously important, not just for individuals, but also for businesses who employ people, but even for themselves as well. So, going back to Zoe then. What now? So, we are in full-time. We've got the main business, thriving business. You've got the property side going with, obviously, the trust. And I know there's some evolution there as well. What does the next sort of like 10, 15 years look like for Zoe?
Yeah, that's, I know, that's quite a big, it's growing, growing the life insurance
You smile
business.
just then.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll just send you like your little light up.
So, yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I am excited about the next 15 years, definitely. Yeah.
You do naturally, genuinely look excited as well.
Yeah, no, I am. So obviously growing the life insurance business, you know, we've done well in the years that we've been around. We've won a couple of awards, you know, won in kind of 2023 and 2024.
Quite modest, you've won loads of awards. I mean, every week you're like, won another award. We're like, wow, Zoe's anything left that you ain't got?
So, you know, we've done well, but, you know, want to kind of grow that. On the property side, you know, want to move into some other areas of commercial stuff, you know, storage is on the horizon. For that, you know, having kind of self-storage sites, so got plans with that. And, you know, if things hopefully go well with, you know, the partner, then, you know, maybe settling down a bit more, maybe kids, you never know.
Wow, you just dropped something there. He's going to watch this,
I know he is, I know, but not right this second.
Oh, the caveat came.
Yeah, not right this second. So
you said maybe.
Because, you know, I mean, it's what all this kind of thing is for. I mean, I enjoy having a challenge. I like, you know, taking on projects.
Yeah.
But you know, a big part of that is to have security for a family, not have to worry, you know, in future, you know, be able to spend quality time, you know, with family and doing kind of fun things. So that's kind of what it's all about for me. And also, you know, in future, you know, being able to give back in kind of different ways as well. So, yeah. No, I'm excited.
No, I like that. I'm really, really excited of that as well, and I can't wait to, you know, be a fly on the wall when it happens. And obviously, we're friends anyway, so it's going to be quite interesting to see, you know, your journey flourish because you've got a lot going off. But what's really nice is obviously to see you smile all the time. It's really whatever happens, it just doesn't seem to faze you. It's balmy, but yeah, it's great, really inspiring. But listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on today because it was it's an emotional subject anyway. And obviously I do this quite frequently, but I think for me, for you, hopefully it's that reflection time to say, this is that moment to like look at you and go, you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But thanks for coming on anyway.
No, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.